Hello, and welcome to Getting Started with Data Entry in the Soluno software. This video will give you the basics on how to enter transactions into Soluno. For more detailed information about these transactions, please attend one of our live classes that are offered monthly, or we do have recordings of those classes available online as well if you can't attend the session live. To begin, in the main toolbar, click on the Add Entries icon to get to our transactions. The first section is where you can enter time and fees. For those of you who like to use a timer, click on the Timer button to start a timer. Once you've finished with your work, click the timer again to stop the timer, and the timer will translate its time to the working and billable hours. Enter the date you performed the work. You can backdate time if necessary. Enter the file the work was performed for. You can look up a file by file name or file number. Again, if you see red fields, those are required data. So we require a fee earner and a task code. Select the appropriate fee earner, the person who did the work, and the task code. It will default to billable work, but you could change that to non-billable or use one of our electronic billing codes if necessary. If not using the timer, then you can just manually enter the working hours and the billable hours. The working hours is how long you spent on the item. The billable hours is how much you're billing the client. The rate should auto-populate after you have selected the file and the fee earner. The amount is calculated from the billable hours times the rate. So if you spent 2 hours working on a file, but are only going to bill 1 hour, then we will only bill for that 1 hour. An activity code can be used to put a shortcut to use for the explanation. If this was legal research, I could type LR, and that would populate the explanation with legal research. If I don't use activity codes, I can still use the code in the explanation, hit the space bar to have it expand out to legal research. At this point, this time entry is a draft entry. To make it available for billing, remember to save your entries in the bottom left of the screen. You can add as many entries as necessary to the timesheet and then save them all at once. Click Save. That time entry has now been posted to the file and is available for billing. Use the Expenses tab to enter your soft cost expenses. Put in the date of the expense, the file that expense was for, an activity code. The activity code populates my explanation. It can also populate the rate and the general ledger account for me. Put in the quantity. And now I have my draft expense. It is not billable until I click Save at the bottom, same as a time entry. So I click Save, and that expense file is now available for billing. Use operating in to receive payments. It should default to your default bank account, but you can select an alternate bank account if necessary. Put in the date the payment was received, the amount of the payment, how you receive that payment, The receipt number will auto number. You can change if you would like. In the contact field, enter the person who sent you the money. Click on their name, and now when you either tab out or click the ellipses button, it will pull up their outstanding invoices. Click Auto Allocate to allocate the payment. Click OK. If necessary, enter a memo for what this payment was received for. If your client requires a receipt, check the print receipt box at the bottom and click Save to receive the payment. For money leaving the operating account, use the Operating Out tab. Again, select the bank account that the money is being cut from, the date of the check, the amount of the check you need. If you need a physical check, leave the type as check, who the check is for, if you would like a memo to print on the check, type in the memo. If you're paying on behalf of a client, link the client's file here so that we create the expense item for them to be billed in the future. At the bottom, it's going to print the check. Click Save. The first time you cut a check, you may need to set the check number that needs to be used. Otherwise, it should auto number to the next correct check number. Click OK. And a PDF of the check will be created. Print your check. Click the printer icon. Verify that you see margins on the print preview in your printer preview screen. If you don't see margins, then somewhere in your printer, look for a setting that says fit the printable area, something along those lines. If you don't see margins, more than likely your check will not print correctly. So verify that you find and see margins. Usually fit the printable area is what you'll see on your printer. Print your check. Once you've printed, verify that the check printed correctly. You have now generated a check from Soluno. If you're receiving money into the trust account, then use the trust in. Which trust account is the money going to if you have multiple trusts? The date you receive the money, the amount of the check, how you receive the money if it was something other than check. We will generate a receipt number, which you are welcome to change. And then who you received the money from. In the memo field, you can type a note about what this money was received for. And all trust transactions require a file. So link the file this money belongs to. If your client needs a receipt, you can check the print receipt box and then click Save to receive the money into your trust account. The Trust Out tab allows you to cut money from a trust account. It is the same operation as the Operating Out. Select the account the money's coming from, the date of the check, the amount of the check. If it is an actual physical check, or if you're just doing an EFT transaction, you may select that. Who you're making this check out to. You can put in the memo line what the check was for. And again, you need to tell us which client the money is coming from. We need the client file. This will show the balance of their trust account to make sure it covers the amount of the check. And then save to cut the check. Again, the first time you print a trust check, you may need to alter the check numbering to fit your current check number. Otherwise, it should auto number from the last check that was cut. Click OK and follow the same procedure that we saw for operating out. Let the PDF generate. Click the print button. Verify you see the margins in the print preview for the printer, and then print your check. If the check printed correctly, select Yes. You have now cut a check from the trust account. Use the transfer feature to transfer money between bank accounts. For those of you that transfer trust after billing is completed, you may be using the Transfer tab. Put in the date of the transaction, the amount of money you're transferring, which bank account the money's coming from. In this example, I'm going to pay an outstanding AR from the client's trust account. So I'm going to pull from their trust account. And since I'm paying myself, it'll go to my operating account. Tell us how you want to do the transfer. If you need an actual physical check, we can print a physical check for the transfer. Because it's trust related, I need to put in the file the money's coming from. And I'm paying outstanding AR. So in the bottom section where I transfer to the operating account, I select which invoices I'm paying. I can click Auto Allocate to allocate the money to the oldest invoice. And then I click Save to transfer the money and pay myself. Use the Payable tab to enter payables from your vendors. Click in the Contact field and look up your vendor. Enter the date of the payable. Enter the due date of the payable. Enter the amount. The reference field is required on payables. We recommend you use the invoice number as the reference number. The memo field can be used to describe what this payable was for. And if you have a PDF copy of the invoice, you can drag and drop it here and link it to the payable within Soluno. If any or all of this payable is client related, you can link the client file here so that we will create an expense item to recoup the cost of the payable. Look it up by file name or number. Click Save to add the payable to Soluno. When it's time to pay your payables, you can use the Batch Pay Payables tab. Scroll through and select any payables that you would like to pay. You can pay one at a time or multiple payables at once. By default, we're going to create a check to pay the payables. You can select if you're going to do an EFT instead to pay, etc. When you're ready to pay, click Save. Soluno will list the payables it's going to create checks for. Click Yes to continue. Again, since we're generating checks in this particular example, it tells me the next check number. I click OK. And it generates the PDF of my checks. And now I print the checks like normal. Click the printer icon. Verify that I see the actual margin on the check, and then print your checks. And then tell it yes when the checks are done. You have now seen the different ways you can enter transactions into Soluno. For more detailed information on these transactions, please take one of our live classes or watch one of the recorded classes on our website. You can always reach us at training@soluno.legal with training questions. And for more training information, please visit our site at soluno.legal. Click on the Resources tab and click on the Training Hub. From that site, you can register for our live webinars that we offer monthly. If you can't make it to one of the webinars, we do have recorded versions of the classes. We have quick videos where you can see specific videos on specific topics. And our training documentation is also located on our training site. I hope you found this video useful to get started entering transactions into Soluno, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.